Tell me about was it something in the Chocolate Factory?
Oh, Willy Wonka the Chocolate Factory. It's finished now.
You did what? You wrote what for?
We wrote the music and lyrics. We wrote 6 songs for the show.
We?
Brickers and I.
Yes. And are you in it?
No, didn't.
Oh, I thought you were in it too. I didn't know.
I'll tell you who's playing Willy Wonka is that wonderful comic who is...
Jack Albertson.
Yeah, he's in it, but also the guy in the producer,
Gene Hackman.
No, that was it.
No?
He also played in Quacks a Fortune, Makes a Fortune.
Gene Hackman. Who it is? I don't know. It doesn't,
Anyway, he's a brilliantly funny boy. And he plays Willy Wonka. Albertson plays the uncle. And a bunch of kids who are absolutely brilliant in it.
Yeah.
There's 5 kids. Each one is more obnoxious than the last. I mean, they're meant to be.
That's lovely. I like that.
And it was all shot in Germany.
That I know,
Briefly to watch a bit of it.
Yeah.
It's come out very prettily, I think.
Good.
The songs are lovely. I've just recorded 2 of them, and I'll be singing them in the act.
Yeah. Good. Listen, why not? Why not plug it?
I can't push them, nobody will.
Of all the songs that you have written and performed, of your own songs, is there one in particular that you like best? I think that's a difficult...
It's a good question, Shelley. The way I can answer it is that I guess people think of what kind of fool am I because of, I sang it first, and I guess at the time it was a great part of my own personal philosophy because I found it very difficult to have that kind of relationship with anybody. And I guess I poured my heart into the song, and I guess I'd have to say what kind of fool am I.
Because I still get goosebumps, when I hear you sing it. So there must be a reason for it. There it is.
That's because I'm...
Do you, how about a Broadway show?
Now,
another one.
I'm just finishing a new show. Mr. Merrick has just arrived actually today.
Yeah.
And he is at this moment reading it. And,
he's in Vegas now.
Yeah. Later this afternoon we're going to play him the score. And
what is it about?
It's about the state of the world, I guess. Very briefly, God and the devil meet to decide what they're going to do because the world. They call it truce because let's face it, the world's in bad enough shape, and they say, if we don't pull ourselves together, it won't be there for either of us to play with,
True.
And so they replay history to find out, roughly where it all went wrong.
Hey, that's marvelous. Where do you go in history?
Well, we go right through, mainly the most important events, a little bit of biblical, and the rest is the 100 Years' War.
All sides of the globe.
Yeah. We jump out, and one family goes all the way through, and I'll play a character called Albert Gumpf, who is like every man. And in the end, we come up to our ecological problem at the end. But it's funny, and...
Now, I hope you make it a little funny,
Yeah, yes, it's got to. I don't think we can preach about these kind of things, because I don't think anybody's got the answer. But it's funny. It's a funny show, and the score's pretty, and I should be back on Broadway at the end of the year.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
Oh, that I would love. I don't know. Do you want to? You don't have to do that anymore. Come back, just like you don't have.
But you see, what's so funny, Shelley, is everybody says the same thing. They say to the producer, "Yeah, I'd love to do it for 3 weeks."
Yeah, I know, but you can't.
No way. The producer says, "Go away." But I said to Merrick, I would do it for 7 months, which means...
Well, that's like 3 weeks. No, siree, that's like 3 weeks.
But listen, what we do is we say up front, Newley will be in it for 6 or 7, then Donald O'Connor will take over with him, and then...
And then Buddy Hackett.
That kind of route.
I know. Well, nowadays, I guess Merrick has proved that you can replace people, with other names.
As long as you say up front, limited engagement of this artist, then another artist is going to come in. And if he does it under his foundation... I don't think the sweet man gives a damn anyway, because it's...
I do. I don't think he'll let you go, and I think you'll have to sign, a run of the play or a year or whatever.
Well, I'm afraid he'll have to work that out himself, because that's it. Because I have the rest of my life to worry about. I cannot bear New York, so I'll do it for 6 and take it or leave it. He can always get somebody else if he wants to.
Yeah.
But I must be firm about that. I cannot spend my life in those dumb, ugly houses.
Do you like living in California?
I like living anywhere else. I just find...
You can live up in Connecticut.
Oh, yes.
Well, you can commute.
It's the wrong time of the year, isn't it? It's winter, and even, I love winter anyway because I'm a European and I know about the seasons.
Well, you can have Connecticut and drive into New York. And in your contract, he gives you a car and chauffeur. That'll be the day when Merritt gives you the car and chauffeur.
Sure, Shirley. Then I'll know I've arrived.
And how? I know it. You are definitely... Are you divorced?
It's really just pen to paper now. We spent quite a long time between the lawyers finding out just how much money I had so I could give it all to my wife.
Naturally.
Boy, do I have to work. Yeah. I don't begrudge the children, I just begrudge...
How many children do you have?
2.
Yeah. A boy and a girl. How old are they?
A boy and a girl. Sasha is 5 and Tara is 7.
T-A-R-A?
Yeah.
Tara is 7. Do you get them very often?
Yes, they're coming to me for the summer holidays and they came to me for the Christmas holidays and I was with them a little earlier this year. It's very difficult.
Because she's living over in England now, isn't she?
That's right. I'm glad they're living there because I find this country at the moment a little difficult in many ways, and I find that in L.A. I was very worried about them all the time when the madness was occurring and the smog and everything. But they miss me enormously, and very shortly we're going to have to review that whole situation. I cannot live in Europe.
No,
the tax structure is just ludicrous, and I just can't live there. And a man's home is where he prospers, and at the moment I prosper here. And,
listen, I had to move to Detroit from New York City, because my husband prospered here in Detroit.
Right. I mean, well,
I know. I fought it for 2 years, but, it was either that...
Are you happy there now?
Yeah, now I am. I really am. Well, because if I have the wherewithal to get out every 2 weeks.
Right, exactly.
I don't think it really matters, as long as you have roots somewhere.
Right, exactly.
And now
the power to move is really everything we need. I mean, we need to go to other places. I think everybody does. Like Gene Kelly said about L.A., it's a great place to live, but it's also a great place to get out of,
Well, I think any place is. I really do, because I adore London, I've never lived there. I've spent time, but I've never lived there.
Oh, it's divine. I love it.
I know.
I look forward to I have 90 days a year in there.
You're very friendly with Georgia Brown, who's a friend of mine.
Really?
Weren't you friendly with her? Didn't you grow up with her or something?
Oh, yes. I knew her for many, many years. But I've lost sight of her over the past few years.
I have, too.
Now, what about the child? Have you seen her?
No. She was with child when I saw her last.
She was pregnant longer than any woman.
I think she was pregnant for about 2 years.
Yes, exactly.
Did she ever get married?
No.
Oh, all right.
Isn't he still married?
I don't know. He was. I don't know if he still is. As I say, I haven't seen her in so long. Tell me about marriage as far as you're concerned. I keep asking this. You've had is that your first marriage?
No, that's my second marriage, yeah.
Were you married to someone in the business before?
Yeah.
Well, that should teach you a lesson.
Oh, I suppose it should, but...
Do actresses fascinate you?
Not really, Shirley. People fascinate me, but I guess I do live in a world where I meet more actresses than ordinary folk.
And they're beautiful. They're lovely to look at. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah. I mean,
not today's batch, but
no, they have been. Joan Collins was probably, still is, I suppose, one of the most beautiful women.
She truly is.
Yeah.
Or was. I haven't seen her in a long time.
But she works on her appearance.
Well.
All the time. She really is in incredible shape. But it just takes a little longer in the morning,
well, okay, but they bother. But they must, just as an actor, must care about himself more than anyone else to survive.
Right. I guess what one really needs is someone unselfish enough to care as much for you as they care about themselves.
I think they do at the start. I think they mean to.
Yeah.
But then they can't.
But don't you think, Shirley, that this whole question of marriage has now to be looked at in terms of a world that is changing so quickly? I mean, you can't even give a decision today because tomorrow may, I'm talking about the mores.
Yeah, I know.
People are saying, why should I take that from anybody? Why should I get married? I mean, that question couldn't even be asked 40 years ago. But kids today are having children, and they don't bother to get married.
Yeah, but so far it isn't. The kids are not, they're still called a name. They still are. We haven't done away with that yet, legally.
Well, let me tell you something. I was born out of wedlock.
Were you really?
I never really...
See, nobody knows. I mean, I've never been aware of it. What difference does it make?
Yes, exactly. But I mean, of course, I think it is a trauma.
Was it to you?
I don't remember ever having myself put in that position, of being called those names, but I think the effect was much deeper. Not having the man, I think, was...
well, I think that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Especially for a son.
That's really where the damage is done. The other thing I think one can cope with.
In other words, you don't think you would get married, I mean, to make everything proper and right. I mean, that piece of paper doesn't mean that much to you anymore.
I did, my first marriage, I got married exactly for that reason, because the lady was, and because I suppose I was smarting from what I knew I'd gone through. But the child died, so the whole point for the marriage was gone.
But then you had two more.
No, this was...
Oh, your first marriage.
Yeah,
who were you married to?
I was married to a little actress called Anne Lynn, who does very well in England. She's always on television. It's a much smaller world there, and she's quite well known. She's quite good character actress.
Yeah.
But,
so there it was. But, I worry. From a personal point of view, now I have a daughter who's 22, and she lives in New York, and she was brought up to believe in marriage, and it's pretty tough today. Guys don't want to get married.
Exactly.
And so I feel for her, having been, brought up one foot in my world and one foot out, but she's, maybe if she were 18 or 17, it would be different.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. It's very difficult, and it's really the lady's problem. That's what's a shame.
It is a lady's problem.
The pressure is on her all the time to say, oh, come on, swing, everybody else does.
Yeah.
Very tough.
That's right.
But I don't think my daughter will have those decisions to make. I think by then it'll all be an entirely different setup.
No, I think by then everything will revert back. I think we'll be living in a Victorian age by the time your children grow up. I really think it's going to swing way around.
I think we're forgetting the medical explosion, that by then, Shirley, they'll be taking one pill a month and nobody will know.
That's true.
That's the trouble with forecasting the future, is that we must take into account everything that's going to happen, biological, medical. It's going to bend all, whatever knowledge we've got left. It's being made too easy. Everything's...
It's a permissive world, the whole... That's right. There are very few rules and regulations anymore.
It's extraordinary how they're gently being chipped away.
That's true. That is true.
God, look at this Cali thing. If you want to talk about... it just is so depressing.
Yeah, there are many depressing things. Many. The only thing is, I'm not a great believer in capital punishment, but I've never... I would like to see Mr. Manson.
Yeah.
I would like to see, and that's a terrible way to feel about anybody, but I'd like to see him killed the same way he killed.
That's right. I have no compassion for him whatsoever. And what's extraordinary is they don't seem to have much compassion for themselves either.
No, I don't think
the photograph of the three girls after the sentence laughing. Ordinary people have no frame of reference. The jurors said, none of us wanted to do it, but we couldn't let them get away with it. I think that's...
You couldn't, unleash them on you couldn't release them to the world again, and to pay for their keep for the rest of their lives, and they're very young. But you know what? Nobody gets a chair anymore, and nobody is hung anymore. So
never trials put off, and a man need never go to prison.
If he can keep it going long enough.
Exactly.
And they can, if you have the money, you can. That's it. Well, let's not get into that.
You get me from Buddy Hackett.
From Buddy Hackett and that, I know. Anyway, you'll be traveling with your own doctor. He knows more about medicine than anybody I know.
Does he really?
He professes to, yeah, and he's very good. He'll convince you that he can take care of all your ills.